Why, hello everybody. As you know, it's mid-June, almost summer, and we're still cool. It's been cloudy all day, and now the sun is just coming through, and I figured, you know what, I'm going to run through and show you the garden mid through June, but I really do feel that July 1st you'll see a bigger change. I mean, you may see a change, and maybe I don't see the big change, but you know, to me it looks like it's going slow. That is all zucchini growing, and I've been picking zucchini, and I'm going to tell you that tool has been up for quite a while now, and it is doing great. Nothing has touched it. No squirrels, no rabbits, no skunks, no nothing has gone in there. So every bit of fruit that has been developed on those plants I've gotten, and nobody else has. So it's worked out really good. And you saw me put the second one up. I haven't done anything here. I may tool it, I may not. Oh, look at that. That's cucumber down there, and I've been picking cucumbers. I kind of haphazardly threw some tool around here, and I'll pay for that if I don't fix it. So I started putting my stakes in, and I'm going to make a trellis and go all around, and I'm going to get this tool better, because even though the tomatoes are doing really good in this tool, they're kind of, I don't want to use the word choking, but there's so many in there. Those are volunteers. I don't even know what they are. So because they're so tight in there, I think I'm going to pull the tool on the outside like I did with the zucchini and get this kind of all tooled in better and make an entrance for me so I can go in and out. Look at those tomatoes. You know, I've got tomatoes coming up all over the yard, and I can't even tell you the variety. Look at this. The reason I can't tell you the variety, and this is even on my patio deck, is they're volunteers. They're coming out of the compost, which means they're coming out of tomatoes. Look at that were developed here, probably crossed with everything I was growing last year, and they're growing so good. They're so sweet. They're a little bit bigger than a cherry. Let me get back in here one more time and show you. Tiny bit bigger. Let me see. They're a little bit bigger than a cherry, but you know, still small. Isn't that beautiful? And they taste so good that I don't think I'm even going to bother really with tomatoes this year as far as buying any plants, because like I said, they're coming up everywhere, and tomatoes are really forgiving. You can just yank those things out of the ground wherever they are, and they will continue to grow after you stick them in the ground. They may look sad for a few days, but you know what? They pop right back up, and they do really good. Here is the tool I put up earlier in the year. Doing great. I still got my sorrel and everything. The only thing that I have an issue with in here as far as pests would be slugs, because there's slugs in the bricks. So whatever got trapped in there is there. And I do have those snails that eat slugs, and they are keeping that under control for me. I didn't put them here. They were here when I moved here, and they're still here. But the walking onions, even this little cutting of a dinosaur kale I put in here, everything's doing really good. And the flowers I bought at Lowell's earlier in the year are doing beautiful. Look at all the flowers. So this is still a work in progress. I'm still working on this. So we'll see how it goes. And there's my little greenhouse. And if I don't get those 2 tomato plants out that I put up there, I'm not going to have them. I've got to get them in the ground. So much work, so much to do. But it's really nice to just take it easy. I'm trying to slow down a little bit. Not as far as gardening, just get things done and get them done at a good pace. Got here on the chair all these blueberry plants. Look. Our first blueberry. So I need to get those planted, and that is the purple tree-collared back there. One of them didn't make it. One of them just continued to dry up, and that one didn't make it. So far out of the 3, 2 are still alive. They still look small. I put this one out in the sun because I didn't know if they liked the shade. The person I got them from said to keep them in the shade, but I think they were suffering in the shade, so I don't know. So I put one in the sun now. That one seems to be doing good, and the other one's still out of the direct sunlight. See, it's been warm. I got to get water on that. So we'll see what happens. I know that the regular tree collared, they grow so good. They break off, stick them in the ground, and they take off. But anytime you start getting into fancy varieties, that's when you're going to have maybe a little more issue. So we'll see what happens as time goes on. Tomatoes, again, I'm not even sure what this is. This is the plant from last year. Kind of died back and came back from the bottom. And it's growing, all that's growing on this wimpy little branch from last year. Look at that, it wound around, came up, and that whole thing up there that keeps going and going is the one tomato plant. So we will see what happens, but that's doing good. There's like, I don't know, 50 tomatoes on that? From the bottom up, a whole bunch of tomato plants. And then squash, this one came up. I thought it was zucchini. It must have been a seed from one of my own because they're round, see? So it's a hybrid, but that's okay. They're good eating. And there they are. The common stinkhorns. And here I felt bad. Here they are. I did a whole video on them. We weren't sure what they are. They are not morels. And boy, does it stink. See the bulbs? Believe it or not, the people eat these bulbs. They start like that, and then they pop into these, you know what, popping out of the ground. Oh my gosh. And they literally, look, see, one broke off. They're hollow. One just came out of there. From what I understand, the morel mushroom grows really slow. It takes about a week. These things, you can walk by here in the morning and come back later on, and within hours it's sticking out of the ground. Scary. But you know what? It's going to break into the ground. We're going to leave it. It's probably really good for the soil, so it likes this place here too. Probably because of the water runoff. It gets morning sun only, and that's what it likes. So it's probably the perfect condition here, but it's growing all over. Just in the front here around where the pine trees are. So whatever it's growing on, it likes it out here. But again, this is morning sun, maybe till around noon, and then they get shade. So even when it's hot, it's still damp. So we'll see how long they keep coming up for. Here is my ginger, turmeric, and stevia table. This year, if you compare my videos from last year, the ginger and the turmeric are really, really slow. The stevia came up beautifully, just like always. But the rest of it, the ginger and turmeric, really slow. I've got ginger and turmeric just starting. That is probably turmeric because it's a big stalk. And then I've got more here. I don't really need to cover it. Coming up here. So far I don't see anything in there. Nothing yet. This is the store-bought one. We'll see how well it does. I did soak them in case they had a growth inhibitor on it. I think I put the video up on that. If I didn't, I'll make sure. Because a lot of them have growth inhibitors now from the store for shelf life. I heard if it's a growth inhibitor on the ginger or the turmeric, you sometimes are lucky enough that if you soak it overnight, you can get a lot of that off and it will continue to grow. But if it's irradiated, that's like microwaving it, it's gone. So it just looks pretty, but it will be dead. So we'll see what happens. I saw like it maybe was going to grow. So far, nothing's come up. And then, of course, not all of them have come up yet, so I don't have to say that that's toast. I've got some black turmeric in there, and we'll get more into that later on as the year goes on. And then the rest, we'll see what else comes up here. This is doing beautifully. Here's ginger, and we'll see how it goes. And that's pretty much for here. Let's say goodbye to these stinky things. I don't want to stand by them. Oh, and my peppermint is doing really good. And then I've got a tomato growing here and a little bit of basil. Just a little bit of basil in there. But oh, the peppermint. I love my peppermint tea. I need to drink more. As soon as I start drinking it, I can see my skin smooths out. It looks terrible on camera. Oh, I scratched myself. But you know, I can see the difference as I'm drinking that tea. And I've been drinking more tea. I don't drink a lot of tea in the cold weather, and I really need to make a point of it. Okay, now we're inside my main garden. This has been doing really well. Now, all these tomato plants, this is that container Gary found in the trash. We turned it into a planter. These tomato plants are volunteers, which means they come up on their own and you don't know what they are. They're doing really, really good, and they're just starting to flower now, and I think there's too many in there. We'll see how it goes, too many plants. This is cucumber, and I have been picking cucumber. I don't even know if there's any more left on there right now. Way on the bottom, and they do, oh no, it got past me. Yeah, you don't want them too big, so I'm gonna have to get that one off because see, it's pulling from the other one. So you need to get them off small because you don't want the plant to think it's done. So I'll have to get that off too. And then of course the squash. I believe some are zucchini and some are probably hybrids. This thing, they grow different. This is Bradley's Atomic. I bought the seeds. I don't think they like it here. We'll see how it goes because I have one on the deck in my patio garden deck, and it's kind of growing the same way. It kind of grows skimpy. Like, look at these. Look how beautiful these grow. And they seem to stress out the moment it gets cold, like me. It's like, it's a little cold. They don't look good. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know, I mean, there's nothing to do. Just see what happens. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll look at it in 2 weeks, you and me, and we'll see if, you know, if it's worth even messing around with. Now, that probably is going to crossbreed. When the bees come in, we haven't had a whole lot of bees, only Gary's. Again, because the weather's been cooler, and I think that's going to cause a problem with a lot of fertilizing the flowers and getting them pollinated. Even though I have a lot of hummingbirds, we still need more bees. So it is going to get warm, they tell us. And once it gets warm and it stays warm, then we'll have more bees and more pollinators. But we'll see what happens because this may cross-pollinate with this, and it may be worth it for me to grab some tomatoes in the beginning and try some of the seeds, because maybe I won't end up with a Bradley's Atomic, but by having them cross-pollinate, I might end up with a really good volunteer type plant that will grow really good here, because that one is definitely not happy. I planted a few of them, and they're all kind of growing like that. See how it's so skimpy? I would think, oh, it could be here, it doesn't like it here. No, they're all growing the same way. They just look the same way. They don't get that really beautiful, robust look to them like these do. They kind of look, I guess, dainty. Let's use a nice word like dainty. Then it gets cold and the leaves want to curl up. Then I know how that is. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, basil. I got basil coming up there, and then I've got squash. I'm still working on trimming all this back. This Dinosaur Kale, see, now the leaves are going to take off. Why? Because it's pretty much done with all its seeding. When they're, you know, going to seed like that, then they're putting all their energy into the seed. Now that the season is getting close to the end for throwing all that seed, they'll put more energy back, and I've got to uncover this, put more energy back into the plant and the leaves itself. This I need a tool in case a rabbit gets in here. I had that covered, but it's getting too big. That's a container I put together. Isn't that cool? I've got the pots and the celery, and then again, a tomato plant coming up, walking onions, some red vein sorrel, which I just broke off from the other one I've got growing. You know, I've got two big ones. I just broke a piece off, and boy, they grow really, really good that way. Then, of course, you never throw leaves away. All right, so let's see what else is going on back here. My lemon verbena has taken off. Isn't that beautiful? And then, of course, all the kale is growing, curly kale. Another tomato plant back there, a little lemon verbena back there, and again, a lot of this stuff has to be trimmed. I don't want to promise you that in 2 weeks everything will look different, but I think it's going to really be different. Plus, I'm trying to get a little more organized and be more brutal. Instead of saying, oh, little plant, you've lasted here for 4 years, and you look so beautiful, I can't kill you. Well, I will compost them, lay them to rest, and they'll grow some other plants. I'm going to trim a lot of that back. See that branch I just noticed on that Dinosaur Kale finally broke off? So it's not feeding that. So that's got to come off. I'm probably going to chomp, I don't know. I actually like it like that. I'll take a lot of it off and get some more growth growing. I kind of like it covering that fence. I think it looks really good. So we'll see how it goes. And then let's see real quick on the wall here. This is that cutting I did a video. It's doing pretty good. That's a little tiny piece of tree colored. So that's doing okay. I'm just leaving it there. I don't have time to deal with it. Celery from last year. I didn't plant any of this. It's just coming back. I know what these are. Hot peppers, like really hot. There were some old peppers here, and I just kind of pushed them in, and they're now coming up. I'm going to give that to my granddaughter to grow. I'm scared of it because one night I chopped up some without thinking, got it all over my hands, and I thought, this is a couple years ago, I was going to end up in the hospital. I couldn't stop my hands from burning. They were on fire. And it's really odd because a lot of that is psychological. It's the brain sending a message to whatever is on the pepper itself. It's not actually doing any harm, but it did finally in the middle of the night. It wore off, and I will now handle those with gloves. My mushroom plant is going to make a comeback. And a lot of this, like this is going to come off. I don't use it for food. I use it for compost. So I'm going to give it to Gary and let him put that in his garden. My walking onion, and this I'll decide when I'm going to do. It's not really in my way, so I may leave this Dinosaur Kale, I believe it is, but this one is in the way. I want to clean this all up and be able to sit out here on a nice summer night, have some iced tea, watch the animals come in, and it's just leaning into the table, and that's the best place for the table. Let's see, this is all stuff you've seen. I do want to trim back the geraniums. It was never intentional to grow that much. It was a little tiny plant that just took off. So the geraniums, as soon as they're done flowering, I will trim them back. They're not big as far as hummingbird food, but you know, the hummingbirds hover around that all the time. So they're getting something. If it doesn't have pollen, let's say there's not really a lot of pollen on there, it could be as simple as insects they could be picking out of it. So a lot of different things they could be picking out of it, but they always hang around the geranium plants. So I don't know, a lot of birds do. And this is of course my sprouting broccoli, and this is really, doing not that great. It's really old too. I'm going to prune this back too, which see, this is it too, and see, this is really nice. So once it's pruned back and I can get in here and I can actually get these pots planted maybe with something in the ground, it will do much better. I don't need a lot of stuff on there that is not doing anything, and I want to make it accessible for me to get back there and, get more things growing, or at least make the ones that are growing do better by giving them a good haircut. And as far as water features, you all know I love my water features. That is not just for the birds or just for me. That's for butterflies come and take a little bit of water. You'll see bees come. Multiple insects. I've even seen the big tree squirrel come down and take a drink out of there. So the water feature, though it sounds nice and it does bring the honeybees you want to work your garden and the bumblebees, it's for the other critters too, and they really do need it, and I enjoy it. And there's a strawberry mint down there. We touch it and we smell it. We do not make tea out of it. I don't like the taste. It's probably perfectly good. I don't like the taste. And then more chocolate mint. I want to move that tower. I have ideas for that tower. Look at the orange mint. Look how big the leaves are. The orange mint I don't make tea out of either, but I use that in cooking. Like let's say making eggs or even salad. It smells good and it tastes good for that, but for me I'm not crazy about it as far as tea, but there's nothing wrong with it. Some people may like it. And then again, this tomato, I can't think of the name offhand. This made it all through the winter and it needs a good prune. Somebody asked me if I prune my tomatoes. I prune off the dead stuff and the browning leaves and that's about it. I don't prune off the suckers. You don't throw your suckers away. If you like your tomato and you want to prune some suckers, root them and grow them. And there is my purple broccoli. I didn't get it all. It went to seed. Look at the bees. See, I do have bees up there right now, but just a couple. We should have more bees than that. My neighbor used to raise bees. He doesn't raise bees anymore, and I found that Gary went there the other day and got a beehive, a real beehive, so we'll see what's going on with that. I guess it wasn't intact. It's in parts, so he's going to take it and rebuild it. I don't know. I really didn't ask him that much about it. Another volunteer tomato. So I have no idea what this will be, but it's doing so well. I will get that staked up, and there's my bonsai looking collard. And that's plain collard. It's not tree collard, it's just plain collard. And then my roses are done back there. My little rose bush. And some of the fountains, I've got to get that video up because I made better plates. They hold these solar panels and they work great. Look at the bucket. The birds come and they sit on there and they take a bath. We have water everywhere, and I'm building so many more. I just love solar fountains. And then, of course, there's that tall, dazzling blue kale. That is where I did a video a while back. I composted in place. It was a short little plant, and now the thing is just getting bigger and bigger. I'm probably going to leave that and clean it up, but I'm going to kind of clean up a lot of this stuff because it's silly. I'm wasting valuable space to grow so much more food I don't need. No, I really need to be able to get to things. Look at this scrub jay coming in. Oh, he's mad I didn't put his peanuts out. He's looking. Where is the peanuts? I'll get him peanuts. So look at that. He's flicking the food all over because they like peanuts. So I go to the store and I get him peanuts. I'll get you some peanuts soon. All right, so this is all spearmint on the ground. Here's my new fountain. We'll talk about that later. But this is all spearmint on the ground, and we do use a lot of spearmint, but I do have to trim it back because I walk through here, and we do have a habit of getting rattlesnakes. So I don't want to be stepping on a rattlesnake. I should wear boots in the garden. But I am trimming it. It's just I really don't want to kill it because I've been taking it in and making tea out of it. But I cannot possibly make enough tea as fast as this is growing. And you know what? I need to get Gary to get this out because I show you how I do all my container gardening, and I want to really concentrate on the pepinos here. And I don't need this. See how I'm walking by and I'm always walking into it? It's one plant in the way. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to move that one plant. Even though you may pull the roots, it will make a comeback. Let me go get Gary, and then I'll show you how easy it is to move that thing out. Okay, everybody, I'm back, and I found Gary. And he's going to remove, this is one of the plants I had in here as I layered it. I soaked it really good last night, and it should just simply pot and all lift up. So let's see how quick Gary can do this for me. Look at that. That's it. This is why I love layering, because now I can get tulle around that better. So I'm not choking that plant, and I don't want the squirrels or anything to bother with that plant. And I started throwing leaves in there, see? And oh, Gary wanted you to see the roots on the bottom. See how the roots come through? They were in there, but it will set root. It might droop a little bit. He can trim off, I would trim off the seeds if I were him. Get the seed heads off so it will concentrate on the plant itself, and then it should be fine wherever he puts it. But now I'll have a clear walkway and I'll be able to do my, gardening and everything. And then he can put this in his garden. And I'll be able to get tulle all the way around that. So now that plant can just flourish. Wait, bye, Gary. Bye. This plant will be able to flourish and get bigger now because I'll get that tulle situated better. You should see it in 2 weeks on the next garden tour. And that's it. I pulled something out of here too. This is one that actually cracked the pot. I had another one that kind of, like the one Gary just took, that kind of fell over. I had him take that one out too. And the celery, this is all celery from a couple years ago already. And don't worry if your celery goes to seed, because it doesn't die. It's not lettuce. Generally, it will go to seed. When it's done seeding, it will come back up and it continues to grow. That's how mine's been growing. And there's lemon balm. I never took it out of the pot. Look at that. I didn't know where to put it. You know what? It's going to stay there. This is going to go too. I don't need this. Some sort of turnip or something that I planted, and it's just, I'll plant something better in there. All right, so then I've got another little tomato coming up down here. Oh, it's not little. Oh, sorry. I'll do that later. I got to get that staked up. I didn't stake it. I put a stake there, but it kind of grew so quick I missed it. Sweet potato coming up in that pot. And again, I didn't plant it. Came up in my compost. And then let's see what's over here. I think we've gone over here before. This is that celery that they call peppermint stick. See how it's red? So it's kind of reddish. It's an interesting celery. That's new. And then again, 2 tomatoes growing back here. And neither one I have any idea what they are. They're volunteers. And you know what? They're growing better than I bought a couple than the ones I bought. I'm going to let the volunteers grow. So I ended up moving it because I'll show you as I back up. You might be able to see it in the last video. I had a tomato plant that came up here. And it was probably feeding, see the holes on the bottom of this container I've got? It was probably feeding on that, and it was doing so well that I literally had a pot sitting there. I didn't plant this tomato plant that's over there, that big one. I didn't plant it. It just came up in that pot. So it was doing so well because it had its feeder roots feeding off of that container that was leaching out into the wood chips here. that it just took off. So I thought, you know what? It's in a container already. I didn't put it there. So I lifted it up, and I'll show you. That's where I put it. I sat it in there, and it's doing great. I just sat it in there like a couple days ago or something. So it's doing really, really good. Oh, birds are coming to the water fountains, and we'll see what it grows. It doesn't matter. A tomato's a tomato to me. They taste good, and the volunteers do really good. So that's why it's really good to plant around your containers to try to catch the water coming out of it, recycle the water, because it really does feed other plants. And here is my red sorrel, and I don't know if this is the flower, if this is all it does, but it's the first time it's ever done any. I guess that is the little flowers. Oh, they're just gonna open. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on it, because that is new to me. That thing's been there for 3 years, and this year it decided to see. It better not die on me. No, it probably won't. But I'm gonna leave it, and I probably will collect the seed, because I have no green sorrel close by in this yard. So it should be all red vein sorrel. It is not part of the kale family, and I don't think there's anything else here it would cross with. So I'm going to collect that seed on that. And then of course you can see all the seed heads all over the collard. The one in the back that you see back here, that's a tree collard, but the ones that are full of seeds, regular collard, just a big old collard plant. So like I said, as the seeds dry up and the plants are done, I should start trimming them, and the plants will grow bigger leaves. Let's see, over here real quick, I've got sage growing. That one's flowering in purple. This is all chocolate mint through here. And this is really cool. Gary found this in the trash. Somebody threw away one of these tomato things a while back. And I planted cucumber. There could be cucumbers there. And I tooled just around that. And the cucumber's growing out, and this way none of the rabbits or squirrels, and squirrels love cucumbers, have touched that. That I'm slowly freshening up. That's parsley in the back that is going to seed. Then some celery. That's old Swiss chard, really should come out. And that's my baby nursery of walking onions, where I would find baby walking onions around the yard, stuff them in there, and now they're having babies. So I got to figure out where to put them. All right, and garlic chives are all over, and there's some back there, and they're coming up too everywhere. They come up on their own. The eggplant, I trimmed it back. I threw a lot of wood chips in there and leaves, loaded collard leaves in there. And it's starting to make a comeback. I thought it was going to lose the plant, so we'll see what happens. And that is also, I believe, I think it's a Dazzling blue kale, that one. And it's gotten too big. So as I start working in the garden, I'm going to figure out more of what I want to do. See, the problem here is I have 3 black containers back there. See if I can step back a little bit. See the 3 black containers? I did a whole video on that a year ago, I guess. I think it was last year, yes. And I grew squash in there really good, but as the year went on, I couldn't get back there. It became a jungle, so I lost a lot of the produce to whatever, and I don't want that to happen. So I cleared out here, as you can see, and I made a pathway. I've got to move my solar fountain panels so I don't walk through wires. Don't cut them. I've done that. You know what? I found that Gary just did it too. He was trimming and he cut through. He just took the plastic off, the rubber off, twisted it back. He fixed one of mine too. And off it was running again, see? But I'm going to move the panel. I've got to get that video up. I made some really cute holders, and I haven't even put them out. And they're contained, and they don't fall. They don't slip like these do. So I've got to get that one up. But, you can put it anywhere you want. Just stake them up. And they've got to be where they are facing the sun to a point. Let's see. So what else is going on in there? So the eggplant is making a comeback. You've got tons of walking onions there. And of course you can see how I layered the flower pots now that a lot of this has been cleared out. So now I have more room to put another flower pot or 2, maybe another one in there, and then get another plant in there. I really like layering. Again, I'm in Southern California where in the summer it gets really hot. And when you water the pot, when I water that pot there, I know that that pot is feeding that plant water. When you water the ground sometimes, water makes its own trail, and it may not go to where you think it's going. It has no choice that way. So that's why I like putting plants in pots. I don't care if there's big holes on the bottom. I don't care if there's no bottom. It really helps when you have a pot. And it makes a big difference when you're in a hot area. If you're in a wet area and you get a lot of rain and you're damp, it's not as important. But here in California, look, it really does help. That's a tree collard in a pot. There are big holes on the bottom. Actually, it's normal holes on the bottom. Look at the trunk of that thing. Yes, you saw this 2 weeks ago and I haven't gotten to it yet, but it's still feeding off the plant, see. I will get to it. I want to chop that up and get these tree collards growing. Look at this. 10 feet tall. But do you see what I'm saying is here? What I've done is I left it in the pot and it gets water. No matter what, it gets water. So that has worked out really good. Now with this tomato that was doing beautiful, my sun gold, we don't know what happened. Either the pepper tree sent roots into that pot and killed the tomato, or multiple things could have happened. I don't think it's a disease or anything, really. The other thing is, we're trying to pick the tomatoes off quick, and we did not. Gary picked off probably 100 of them yesterday, and if you leave too many on anything, the plant is successful, and it goes, oh, I've done a good job, I'm done. And that could have happened. It didn't get waterlogged, but it got real cold a few nights last week, and that's when I noticed the problem. Maybe it just couldn't take it anymore. We'll see what happens. I'm already grabbed some tomatoes and I squeezed them I think I squeezed them on my patio where I do container gardening. I have a whole bunch of little plants coming up. So I might just move them around and I might try, I got to clean it up and see if any of it is still, going to come back. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. Some tomatoes don't come back. And sometimes they do. So I'm not going to worry about it. Something else will go there if it doesn't come back. Okay. Oh, I ate it. There was a big purple sprouting broccoli, see, yesterday, and I walked by and while I was working out here and I ate it. And then I thought, oh, I should have left it, but it didn't matter. You've seen it. So that's another sprouting broccoli. And again, how I do it in containers, and I can layer. And the one that's in the middle was higher up, so everything's sunk. But instead of pulling it apart, I think I'm just going to, see I'm adding leaves in there from the collards that are here. Just going to build it back up and just plant it the way it is. Put some plants on the top, some more pots, I should say, with plants. And let these things do what they're doing because they're doing really good. I've got a dazzling blue kale in there, my purple sprouting broccoli. I really don't need anything else in there. So I might put some smaller things on the top. We'll see as I work my way down here. Aren't those tree colors gorgeous? How beautiful they are. There's one in the back, which is in the ground. You've seen that over and over before. And then I've got another one back there. There's 3 of them up here. They're just magnificent. 2 of those leaves make a meal. Just bring them, just wash them, chop them up, put them in a pot with a little bit of water and butter. If you want to use butter, that's fine. You don't have to. And they taste really good. To me, they have a milder taste than regular collard. Everybody likes their own thing, so they are just magnificent. And all these collards, like some of them don't look that great, best compost you could do. I know a lot of people use comfrey, but boy, I've been using collard all over. So is Gary for his bananas and everything. That's why he wanted that collard plant. When he heard I may chop it out, he said, give it to me because I use it for compost. Aren't they beautiful? That thing went to seed. Very few leaves on it. That's another dazzling blue kale. So when it's done, I'll take the seeds off. I'm leaving the seeds mainly because the birds have been eating it. So I don't need to plant anything in there. If I needed to, then I would remove the plant or the seeds or whatever. See how they're chewing all the seeds up back there? But the thing is, let the birds come in and take what they want. I don't need this. I'm working my way through the garden where I want to plant things. And it's been a slow start because of our season this year was very different. We really didn't have spring. We went from winter, our winter was spring. We went from winter, and now we're going into summer. So it's been different. So it doesn't matter. Let the birds, have something to eat. I don't need it. If I needed it, it would be different. And of course, my Moringa, my big one, it's slowly coming back. And also, it's been taking its time. There's 2 trees in here because of the weather. They really do not like cold weather. But we have Moringa again. What you see back there, that's wild mint. I've got to get that out. I do not want wild mint. It wasn't that it's native. But when you have mint and it goes to seed, and then it starts to grow from seed, it may not grow true, and it starts to revert back to its regular mint, and it doesn't taste as good. Some people may like it, and we do not. And since, it can take off, and we have other mint that we're growing, I'd rather grow mint that I really like. And so our favorite, of course, I've talked about it, is chocolate and peppermint, either one of those. Next would be, I think the orange mint is okay, but I use that for cooking. And then the spearmint, I make iced tea out of it. I do not use the strawberry mint. And that's pretty much it. I smelled some pineapple mint and other types of mints. There's so many mints now. But those are really our favorites, so we kind of stick with those. And then when we get the wild mint, Gary's got wild mint all over because he took it off the deck. And he really, I need to go down there and pull it out and put something else there. And when you have wild mint, if we don't like it, I don't know. So anyways, that's the other mint we grow, the wild mint, only because it took off on its own. See, another volunteer. And it's probably from the tomato that was here that died back. So we'll see what happens with that. More walking onion in the back. Let's swing you here. This is more, what is this? Chocolate mint. And then again, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do here. Parsley and celery there. And sometimes on the ground, you'll see those things that look like grass. That's all garlic chives growing. I really don't have onion chives here. I've got it all over the deck, but not here. This is a cutting, and I'll see what happens with this tomato. It's kind of struggling, but it might do okay. We'll see. I can always do more cuttings, or I can take some seeds off the sun golds and get it going over here. And then, of course, the papaya. Gary's excited. He's waiting for papaya. See, they were struggling too with our weather. They lost a lot of leaves this year because it was so cold, but they hung in there. And we filled this up with wood chips. The roots have long left this, and that too, I want to clean that up and put something there. Oh, and all this colored, possibly in 2 weeks, you may see a lot of it gone. Not all of it gone. I want you to see this. Let me see. Oh, he saw me. He's scared. Got scared off. Yeah, look at this. Are your feeders empty again? They'll come and follow me around. And that's what the hummingbirds do. I was going to show you on the candlestick. It's kind of tipped over there. They get on top and take a bath. But yeah, he's following me around. They've been really going through their feeders. I bought 375 pounds of sugar from Walmart. 375 pounds. You know what they did after I ordered all those bags? They raised the price on me. Over $3 a bag. I don't need any more. They must have thought, wow, we're either too cheap or there's a big run on sugar. Everybody wants sugar. We're going to raise the price. Can you imagine by the time I came in and bought the last 3 bags that I was going to buy and I got up to 375 pounds, they raised the price. I think that's funny. So we'll see if they lower it again. But anyways, I'm going to trim out this collar because look how tight that is. It's very, very hard to walk by. I mean, it's not hard. I can push it over. But it's kind of a waste. So what I'll probably do, Gary really likes this because this collar's like 4 years old. I'm probably just going to trim it out and take some of the chunks from it because it grows so nice. You can make a bonsai out of this stuff. And either move it or let him put it in his garden. He's crazy about using compost. I'm sorry. He's crazy about using collard as compost for his plants. And that is true. It is fantastic. So it's not going to be gone because the thing is massive. It's going every which way. You see it snaked over there. It's snaked here. Look how big this is. This one will look so much more beautiful once all this here is taken off. I know it kills me to do that, but I really do have to trim back some of it at least. It'll be better for the plant too, not just me, better for the plant. Strawberries are doing good. The problem is you don't see a lot of food because I walk by and eat it and Gary walks by and eat it. We pick and eat as we want. This was a disaster. I haven't gotten back here. I didn't have tool. I planted my cucumbers here and the squirrels came and had a feast on the plant, not the cucumbers. So that one kind of, it looks like it might make it, but I think I'll just plant something else in there as soon as I get here. So we'll see what happens. Okay, now we're where the papayas are. Papayas are doing great. In fact, I saw Gary had 2 more in the house this morning. Look at that. Little little weather damage on the leaves, but you know what? All in all, it's doing fine, even with the leaning. See what we're doing? The leaves will go into this. It's bottomless. It's a compost in place container. We put the leaves, and then he can throw some wood chips or kitchen scraps and stuff on top. There's a tomato coming up in that one. Same thing, these containers are put here to feed these trees. Without those containers, they did not grow this much fruit. They're heavy feeders, and they are somewhat particular, I believe, what they like. I actually tried once some llama and donkey manure, and they almost look like they did not like it. So what they prefer, it seems like, at least ours, leaves, kitchen scraps, food matter, not animal manure. So we don't even bother with that. So we just put leaves in there, and look how beautiful they are. See, the leaves that are damaged, again, it's coming through the canyon, the cold breeze. Some of these trees really got hit hard, these papaya plants, but they're making a great comeback. And look, pomegranates from a seedling I planted. Orange trees I've got to move. I stuck a papaya in there, came up in the compost. Not a papaya, an avocado. And Gary asked me, did you plant that avocado tree? It was growing in one of my compost bins, and I just stuck it there. If it makes it fine, at least I gave it a chance. And if it doesn't, oh well. And then, of course, another one here to feed this one. We talked to somebody, one of the guys that brought wood chips, and he said he could not get any of his papayas to grow, and I think it was because they need something. I actually talked to somebody that was growing them once in his yard, and though we both had a language barrier problem because he spoke only Spanish and I only spoke English, we got across from each other. What he was telling me was the leaves. He puts all the papaya leaves back at the base, and I am assuming the way he was telling me, this was years ago, covered up and let their own leaves. This would be like in nature, their leaves would fall. Well, so would the fruit. See, a lot of that fruit would fall, and it would compost there and bring all the kinds of microbes and insects and earthworms and everything eating the fruit. So think of how big the fruit is. This all goes back to nature. And what would happen? Boom, fall on the ground, rot on the ground. The animals would eat it because there's really very few animals that are going to pick something up when it weighs quite a few pounds like that and carry it away. I mean, some might, but a lot of it would fall right down into the ground and compost. So what they want, it seems like, I don't want to ever say for sure because you never know, ours like food matter, anything that was plants. So this really helped. This was it, just putting those containers by each tree. I know it's not a tree, it's a plant. It really makes them produce all year. They're happy. Even in the cold, look at that, new is coming. But even in the cold, because this one had no leaves on it. I almost thought it was going to be a goner. But it still made it because it was getting all the proper food it needed. Isn't that cool? Okay, let's turn around and go to the wall. You know what? First I might take you to see something else. So next to the papayas here is that big old tree, the pepper tree, and that tree has wrens. It produced one baby wren, and he has long left the nest. I'll show you. He is gone. They only produced one baby. And I don't know if Gary should clean out the nest or not, but they're gone. They had a lot of eggs in there, but you know, they were only successful with one for whatever reason. So that's fine. At least it had its one, and they were all feeding the baby. You can hear them in the trees. And that was really cute. Really fun to watch. Mom and Dad go in there with the insects, the little wrens, and carrying their food into their baby. All right, again, I haven't really gotten down here. I need to clean this whole wall up. It's a lot of work. So, because there's so much. And then we're working and doing other things. Oh, look, I have a lizard trapped. No, I don't. He can get out. Look at that. Do you feel safe back there? Say, yeah, nothing's going to get me. I have zucchini coming up in here, but I know it's not happy being choked out like this. It does have some fruit and flowers in there. What I'm going to do is, you can see the poles I put here. I'm going to tool this whole thing so the squirrels won't bother it, and it should do better. I'm going to take out the red Swiss chard. It went to seed. I don't need a plant that big in there. I'll leave the celery that's in a container. I'll clean up the tomato and see with the tomato how far it's gone. and if it's worth keeping or starting over. Oh, I might leave this Swiss chard, this green and red one, because it really looks happy and healthy, and the leaves look really, really pretty. It's got a lot of seeds, so I'll leave that one. And then, of course, this is the other Moringa up against the wall. That one basically stayed green all year. It always had a little bit of green growth to it. So it looked like it did really very little, but it did better because the wall was warm. There is a cucumber plant back there, but something got to it. I don't have tool here. I want to make sure I don't touch anything, get stung by a bee. Yeah, they kind of fell over. I need to get tool around all my cucumber plants, because there's something about the cucumber plants that the squirrels just gravitate to, and they eat the plants. Boy, you're big. You are really big. And then we've been leaving the sow thistle because the goldfinches eat this. And of course we're going to get a lot more, but that's okay, because if I make a green drink or eggs, omelets, I use the leaves on that too. The eggplant just needs to be cleaned up a little bit, and I'll probably leave that Swiss chard too for now. I don't, have time to just pull it out unless I'm working with it. I don't want to just pull it out. I want to compost it. So I'm kind of thinking what I want to do here. This wall, once set up, should do really good all through the winter, because of the wall keeps everything warm. So I should be able to garden here. And this is where, look, there's so many lizards here. These are the containers I'm going to set up. I've got one more I want to move over here. Even the lizards love their wall. You want to say hello to everybody? Okay, I guess not. Oh, I've been dumping things in there. So there's some flies in there. There's no cover, on it. No soil put on top or anything. So he's hanging around there. He's got free food. And now the truck bed. I still don't know what I'm going to do with that. So that avocado tree's got 3 fruit on it. I'm going to wait a while and see what we're going to do. The other option, see the fruit? I don't know if the fruit will make it or not. Is I'm still debating if I chop this. Oh, look. Oh, her babies are here. She's got 2 more babies. She's under my car. She's got 2 more babies in here, I believe, or she had them in here the other day. This is her second litter, so I can't really water too much in here because I don't want to drown the babies. But yeah, I'm still debating on what to do. I put one container over here because I was thinking of maybe planting in the container and then it will water the bed, and I may do that. I wanted to really start planting squash in here again. So we'll see. Like I said, there's so much here that I can decide as I go through what I want to do. So I'm, throwing leaves and things in there. I don't think we can see the baby bunnies. They may be gone. She may have them under the truck bed. They're tiny. It scared me. I was cleaning all this up the other day, and one jumped at me, and I thought it was a rat. And it wasn't. It was a baby bunny. But you know what? Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? These are seeds. These are going to turn brown, and then this Swiss chard is going to have seeds everywhere. Story real quick. When I first started gardening, 4 years ago, 5 years ago here, the seeds would fall all over, and then we'd have rain, this whole place would just be covered, and any place it could just fall, the seeds and be in a crevice, all in green, and it was beautiful. And that was before the rabbits found out it tasted good, before they ate it. Now they love it. That's why I put some cages over this, but I don't know why. I just did. I had some wire and I threw some some wire around it. There's a green one and a red and green one. And then they would just grow all over. But once they found out they liked it, they eat it all. So you don't find little ones on the ground anymore because they love the little ones. But that's it. I mean, this is all great compost matter for my containers. It's something I collect. I don't want anything to happen to it because it means something to me. So I guess with that, we've kind of done the rounds. Look what Gary got. Yeah, somebody was giving away aloe vera. And he said, is it true aloe vera? And they said it was. So he ran and got it, and he's putting it all over the hillside. So that's it. Went through, showed you everything. And I really think you're going to start seeing more and more changes now. Even though, like I said, we've never been hard up for any food. We've had plenty of greens all through winter and all through spring. I'm just trying to figure out what else I want to grow. And then, of course, his beehive, which is down here. And you've seen that in the past videos. His beehive is down there in the trees with that barbecue, and now he's got another beehive that he's got to fix up or something. I don't know. I actually haven't even seen it yet. I just found out one of the neighbors gave it to him. So with that, have a great day. And if you ever see when you're watching the video a little bleep, what's happened is I've changed my camera to 60 frames per second. I didn't realize it was so low. And it separates when I do a walkthrough in my garden into 15-minute or 10-minute segments. So I have to piece it all together, and it seems like it loses a second sometimes 2 seconds. So I'm doing the best I can. So if you ever hear, whoop, that's what it is. It's just me trying to get it pieced together. So with that, you'll see the garden in 2 weeks. I think there'll be a change. Should have tomatoes growing, cucumbers and everything, and things cleaned up maybe a little bit better. More accessible for me to get around. Not just because, oh, it's hard to walk through or whatever. It's more that I don't want to lose produce. This is for anybody, any age. If I let things get overgrown and I can't get to it, but the squirrels can or the rabbits can, then it's defeating the purpose of me doing all that work. They can get some of it, but I don't want to deliberately let them get that much. So I'm going to kind of make it where I have good paths I can get through. Even that, Gary built that. That was not there. He built that path so he can get through there. Who knows? Maybe someday I'll put a garden up there. No, I have too much here. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow, everybody. Bye-bye. And I know some of you have been requesting live feed on the hummingbirds, and I'm thinking about doing that maybe off and on a few hours during the day so people can just sit back and not hear me, but just watch the hummingbirds feed. And if you want, let me know in the comments, and if I get enough people, then I'll do that. And it won't be me. It'll be just the hummingbirds feeding on all the feeders out the window in the kitchen. Bye-bye, everybody. Have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. I am being spied on as I do my garden tour.